I cheated on my pregnant wife 26 years ago. She divorced me and swore I'd never see my daughter. What happened when my daughter found me will leave you speechless. Hello Reddit I plus here. My name is Leo, I am 54, and for most of my adult life, there has been a locked room in my memory that I never walked into unless I could not sleep. When I was 27, I cheated on my pregnant wife. Her name was Nia. We had been together since we were 20. We were that couple everyone thought would last forever. We shared an apartment we could barely afford, mismatched furniture, broken blinds that rattled in the wind at night, and we would fall asleep laughing about stupid things, like how we would name our future kid after a weather event or something ridiculous. Then I messed up. No excuses, no alcohol story, no tragic backstory, just stupidity and selfishness. I cheated with a coworker and thought it was just a mistake I could hide and carry like a secret weight. I lasted 2 weeks before the guilt ate holes in my chest, and I confessed. Nia did not scream at first. She sat at our kitchen table with her hands folded like she was in church and listened. Her eyes did not even blink. When I finished, she stood up, went to the bedroom, and closed the door. I heard the lock. I slept on the sofa that night. In the morning, she was gone. Within days, divorce papers appeared. She was 8 months pregnant and did not want me near the delivery room. She did not want me anywhere near her. Her family cut me out like I had never existed. In court, I signed what I was told to sign. I lost the apartment. I lost my car. The one thing I did not lose was the reminder that this was entirely my fault. The judge did not say much. Nia did not look at me once. A few weeks later, my daughter was born. I did not see her. I was not invited. I got a message through my lawyer and one short text from Nia. 2 sentences. Healthy baby. Do not contact me. I called. I begged. I drove to her place once, and she opened the door just enough for me to see one brown eye. She said if I ever came back, she would file a restraining order. The world closed. My courage failed. Shame did the rest. I did not fight. I told myself I did not want to traumatize my child with court battles and bitterness. The truth is simpler and uglier. I could not face what I had done, so I sent money. Every month. For 18 years. Life did what life does. It moves forward even when you are stuck. I moved back in with my parents for a year. My father spoke exactly 8 words to me during that time. You ruined this. Now live with it. He said it once, and then never again. My mother fed me silently and hugged me when I cried like I was 15 again instead of 28. Eventually, I rebuilt. I went back into construction management, worked ridiculous hours, learned to feel like a person again. At 35, I met someone named Talia. She knew everything about my past because I told her early. She said something that saved me. She said, you do not have to be forever punished, but you have to live honest every day to make up for what you broke. We got married. We had 2 sons. Our home is full of laughter, noise, homework arguments, football games on television, burnt pancakes, and those weird quiet moments when everyone is asleep and the house breathes like a living thing. But there was always a shadow in the corner. A daughter who existed and did not. A life I was part of and not part of. Once or twice a year when everyone slept, I would search Facebook. It took effort because Nia changed her last name after remarrying. I finally found a profile. A smiling girl, then teenager, then young woman who looked shockingly like me around the eyes. Thick hair, serious face when concentrating. Athletic, then academic, then confident. I would stare at those pictures and feel something like grief, pride, and punishment all at once. Years passed. Then one night, when my oldest was 14 and my youngest 12, I got a message request from someone I never expected. It was not Nia. It was my daughter. Her name is Amira. The message said, I have known about you my entire life. That is not what I was told when I was little, but I have known since I was 10. I think it is time we talk. I do not want money or apologies in a text. I want to look you in the eye. I stared at that screen for maybe an hour. My hands shook. Talia came into the room and I told her, and she squeezed my hand and said, whatever happens, face it. We agreed to meet in a coffee shop in a quiet part of town. I got there early and sat by the window. My chest felt hollow. Every mistake I had ever made was sitting next to me in spirit. Then she walked in, tall, confident, same eyes. She sat. She did not smile at first. She studied my face like she was matching reality with a photograph. Then she nodded slowly. You look like me, she said. We talked, carefully at first. Weather, school, her plans. She had just finished college and was headed toward medical school. Smart, driven, a little sarcastic. I liked her. That hurt worse than anything. Then she took a breath and said, I want to talk about the truth, all of it. She told me her version of the story. Or rather, the version she was told. She grew up believing I had abandoned her completely. No calls, no money, no attempts. She was told I walked out on her pregnant mother and never looked back. She was told I was dangerous, selfish, unreliable. She was told a story where I was an empty space. Then something happened when she was 10. She overheard her mother and stepfather arguing. She heard the words child support, court, letters. That night, when everyone was asleep, she searched the house, and in the back of a hallway closet, inside a taped box behind winter coats, she found proof I existed in a different way. Bank statements with 18 years worth of deposits from me. Copies of letters I had written during the first few years when I still tried to send birthday messages, apologies, explanations. Letters Nia never gave her. Amira did not confront her mother at 10. She kept the box. She read the letters every year on her birthday. She watched me from the distance of the internet. She learned who I had become and how I lived. And she built a picture of a flawed man who failed terribly, but who did not abandon her. Then she dropped the first bomb. Leo, she said, I did a DNA test 2 years ago. Part curiosity, part medical history. I matched with relatives I did not recognize. When I asked my mother why, she told me something I do not think you know. I did not breathe. She said quietly, you may not be my biological father. The world tilted. I swear the air disappeared. Nia had apparently been seeing someone else briefly during that time too. Something I never knew. She found out after the divorce that there was a chance. She never told me. Instead, she kept the money, kept the moral upper ground, kept the narrative where I was the villain. Amira placed something on the table. A printed sheet. Not just her DNA test. Mine too. Because she had bought it and sent it to my address through a service that allowed anonymous contact. Months earlier, I never realized. Talia opened it, thinking it was some promotional mailer, and set it aside. Amira had anticipated that, so she brought a copy. We looked at the paper together. Probability of biological paternity, 0%. If there is a moment in a life when anger, grief, relief, betrayal, guilt, and absurdity all sit in a circle and stare at each other, that was it. I had spent 18 years believing I was a coward who stayed away. I had punished myself. I had convinced myself I deserved every ounce of pain. And I did deserve a lot of it for the cheating, yes, but not for everything that followed. I paid. I stayed gone. I missed a lifetime for a child who was not biologically mine. Amira watched my face and nodded. I know, she said softly. It hit me too. Then she said the sentence that broke me. You are not my biological father, but you were still the only one who showed up in the way you could. You paid. You tried at the beginning. You mattered, even from far away. The man my mother married, the one who raised me, is a good man. But he is also angry now that he knows the truth. Everything blew up. Apparently this truth had detonated her family a few months earlier. Her stepfather felt betrayed by 18 years of lies. Her mother was forced to admit everything. The truth was not clean. It was messy. There was shouting, tears, therapy appointments. And now, Amira wanted to meet me because she decided that she deserved honesty from everyone involved in her life. We met again. And again. Slowly, carefully. Then came the confrontation. Amira wanted all three of us in a room. Me, her, and Nia. I avoided that idea for weeks. Shame is a stubborn thing, but eventually I agreed. We met in a quiet lawyer office conference room that Amira booked to keep things neutral. The moment Nia walked in, I went straight back to being 27, guilty, broken, standing across from the person I hurt most. She looked older, of course. Strong still, but tired. Her eyes flicked to me and then away. She focused on her daughter. Amira led the conversation like she had rehearsed it. She laid out everything. The hidden box, the payments, the letters, the DNA, the lies. Nia tried to speak in generalities at first. She said she had been hurt. She had been scared. She had wanted to protect her child. Then Amira stopped her and said something I will remember until I die. You did not protect me. You controlled me. You took away my right to decide how I felt about the man who helped bring me into this world, even if he messed up. You weaponized your pain. You turned me into something you owned instead of someone who deserved truth. Nia cried. Real grief, real regret. And then the final truth slipped out. She admitted she had known about the paternity doubt before I signed anything, before I paid a single dollar, before she locked me out of that life forever. She admitted she kept it to punish me, to keep her control, to avoid the humiliation of telling anyone that she had cheated too. There it was. 2 people. 2 betrayals. 1 truth buried for almost 3 decades. A life rewritten by pride and fear. Here is the strange thing. I did not feel triumph. I felt old. Then Amira stood up, came around the table and hugged me for the first time in my life. That was the flip. For 18 years, I thought I was the weakness in her story. The absence. The villain. Suddenly, somehow, I became something else. Not the hero, not the replacement father, but something real. Flesh and blood man who failed early, paid the price, and quietly kept a promise he was never allowed to fulfill. There has been fallout. Legal conversations about child support. Ugly, complicated, exhausting. I may never see that money back. I do not even know if I want it. It represents years of self-punishment, yes, but also years of responsibility, mistaken as it may have been. Nia and I will never be friends, but we spoke honestly for the first time in our lives. She apologized, not with excuses, just tears and honesty. I apologized again, because my cheating lit the match that set all of this in motion. My sons know now. Talia has stood by me like the absolute anchor of my life, and Amira is still here. We see each other monthly, sometimes for coffee, sometimes for dinner with my family. My sons like her. She calls me Leo, not Dad. I do not push for more. I am just grateful I get to exist in her world as a human being instead of a ghost. Here is the lesson if there needs to be one. Lies grow roots. Secrets do not stay buried. Pain, passed forward, becomes pain that lives in children. Pride ruins decades. But truth, even late, can clean a wound that has been festering for years. I cheated. I earned consequences. I lost things I will never get back. I will always be ashamed of that version of me. But in the end, the biggest shock was learning that while I believed I was the only monster in the story, there were more shadows in the room than I knew. And sometimes justice is not a courtroom moment or a dramatic victory. Sometimes justice is sitting across from a grown child you never got to raise, hearing her say, "You were not there, but you cared. That matters to me." That is the payoff. Not money, not revenge. A second chance at honesty. And for a man like me, that is everything.